okay? And you're on a plate that you pull out and go, hey, is this okay? No, it's digital. It can manipulate it.
This is not olden times of alchemy.
Yes.
So this is usually I let people like go through their whole spiel before I give them the warning that we're live, but we are now live.
Okay.
Computer Ed. This is the internet. Is this your first time?
This is my first time. Please be gentle with me, internet. Please be kind.
Oh my God. I am so thrilled. I can't. So yeah, I wouldn't have thought that this was going to be like the first live show. I hadn't thought about it in that context. Like, oh, I'm having a radio personality on the show.
Oh my God. It's your first time too. Oh my God. This is scary now.
My wife's going to see this at home and be like,
what the shit did I get into?
Oh man, you got yourself into fanboy zone right now. I'm not usually dolled up on the podcast, but here we are. We're also not usually live. We don't usually have somebody as cool as Computer Ed on the show, but here we are.
Or it's crazy. It's
or it's crazy. Somebody that I'm as a fan. Okay, so I need to now send you the link so that if you want to share that in your appropriate pages with your appropriate people, then
spread the word.
Spread the word.
Chaos is about to begin.
Welcome to the Thunderdome. What? I've never seen the Thunderdome.
We discussed, by the way, folks, of having a little something special in this soda, and we decided that wasn't going to be good for us.
We would be in trouble.
It would make the show more interesting.
Okay. Hey, I even picked up my own echo that I was looking for there too. How exciting is that? Okay. So I don't want to be in the video anymore. The people don't need to hear me talking about me to you. How many different people are we hearing all right now? It's just all the people inside Nathan's and Ed's heads.
Oh my God. If we got all the people inside both of our heads talking, we'd have a crowd in here. Police would arrest us for too many people in a room with COVID. I mean, seriously.
The best part about this, too, is my phone's at like 20% battery. So by the time this show is all said and done, it will probably it'll be... if I get messages and phone calls, I won't be able to see them. But if I see anything on Facebook, it'll pop up.
I called my wife when I parked outside, and I said, I'm going to leave the phone in the car. And she's like, well, just put it on silent mode. If I put it on silent mode, I'm going to get 3,000 calls and texts during the show.
So do you not have your phone with you?
No, I don't have a phone in here with me. It's locked up in the car.
Oh my God. So this is all based off of my abilities right now. I thought you had your phone on you. I was going to send this to you. You could share it out and then...
Oh God, no. My Facebook list, since we're live, I'll even tell the story. My Facebook list is tiny. I don't have a lot of people on my friends list because I like friends that are really friends.
Yeah.
So basically my family and people that I have come to over the years know. So it's like 50 people.
Nothing that's going to go crazy. That's fair.
I wouldn't get you that many numbers.
But you used to have some numbers.
Oh my God. At one point I had probably about 10,000 friends on Facebook.
Well, okay, so Facebook, yes, but like in the radio world.
Oh, in the radio world, we actually did pretty good with the radio show. We didn't do too bad at all. We had a good followership online that would listen to the podcast after. We had good live viewing. I know at one point we were on, I can't remember which side of WJPF. If it was WCIL, I think it was WCIL on AM on Sunday afternoons. During Cardinals baseball, I had two different people at the radio station tell me our numbers were comparable to the Cardinals on the other side. That was, to me, amazing that I was competing with the St. Louis Cardinals in Southern Illinois. That's awesome.
And at least you were going run for run.
There you go. I think we were a lot more fun to listen to because baseball's boring. Well, to me.
I'm not a sports guy either, and I've always struggled with it. Like, do I want to have this, like, this type of camaraderie with my fellow man through competition? It's like, not really.
I like football. I've always been a big football fan. My daughters are New Orleans Saints fans with me. So like when the Saints went to the Super Bowl and the big playoff games and stuff, I had my daughters over at the house. I can tell you now, all three of us openly wept when the Saints won the Super Bowl. We had a lot of fun with that.
So one of the things that we're going to have fun with on episode 31 of the WTF Carbondale podcast is, first that we're live. Like what you are seeing now is about a 10 to 15 second delay of the conversation we're having in the studio, ran through my computer, out a Cat 6 line and into the world.
Do you have a bleep button?
Huh?
Do you have a bleep button?
Oh, shit, no, I don't have a bleep
button.
button.
Hell, it's over now.
It's the internet. Neither do I have time constraints, nor do I have language constraints outside of, well, shucks, even if we wanted to start a conspiracy theory tonight, there's not an algorithm in place yet that could flag it, so let's go ahead and launch conspiracy. And we're talking to interesting people about their interesting lives and tying it all together here in this little place we call home, Carbondale. Somebody who is called home, called Southern Illinois home, called Carbondale in the greater area home for his entire life.
Yes.
Is Sapphire Ed, the artist formerly known as Where He Is in My Heart. And so Computer Ed, a.k.a. Ed Crisler. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I'm known by my real name. I'm known by all the nicknames. I tell everybody, call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. And they never have.
You're like, as soon as I hear a spoon cling against the inside of the pan, I know where I'm supposed to be.
It's time to go. That's right.
Have you always been a beard guy, too? Like, is the beard...
No. I spent a lot of time in my 20s, early 30s floundering of what I was going to do. And so I ended up working a lot of fast food. And when I finally said enough and left fast food and started focusing really hard on the computer world, I started a beard because I'm like, screw it, I'm never going back. This is my way to say no. I actually had it very short until about a year and a half ago. And my barber looked at me and she said, you know, you've got a natural Santa beard. We're going to grow it out. So we grew it out and everything else. Now, here's the funny thing. So last year, before COVID, I applied to work as Santa in a few places. Do you know the beard is why they told me no?
Because it looked like Santa?
I can't wear a fake beard. And I don't need a fake beard. Look at this thing. It's real. I don't need a pillow. Look at me. I'm Santa.
I'm actually Santa, damn it.
And their response was, no, if you can't wear the fake beard, we're not interested. And I'm not shaving this for nobody. No.
Yeah. No, once you're there, buddy, once you're in the beard, that's it. Game on. Game on as well on the whole, our conversation. Computer Ed, Sapphire Ed here, has always been a live radio host that, like, a component of the Computer Ed, was it Radio Hour or show?
Computer Ed Radio Show.
Computer Ed Radio Show.
Because we actually ended up doing 3 stations over the years. We did WJPF for a long time, but the problem was we couldn't grow anymore at WJPF. So WGGH offered us a spot. And you think an hour radio show is long, do a 3-hour show. Okay. So we did a 3-hour show there for about a year. Again, wasn't getting any headway, wasn't getting any traction. Then we came over and did WSIU for about a year. And the only reason we stopped at WSIU was I got the job with Sapphire. And I just didn't have the time to devote to the show I thought I needed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't prepared to sacrifice the quality and the integrity of what we had created. So I said enough is enough. It's been a fun run.
Were you really only on WSIU for a year?
Yes.
That was a really good year of my life. And I'm serious, man. Every fond memory I have, it's all tied. I listened on WSIU, and it feels like I listened to a lifetime of your show.
Do you know WSIU was my worst time doing it, though? We couldn't do it live. We had to record it.
Okay.
And there's something about a live show. That's why I wanted you to live stream this.
Yeah,
There's something
absolutely.
about live where all your mistakes, all your FUBARs are wide open. And how you react to them, I think, tells you a lot about the person. Over the years, I've learned you just own the mistakes and move on.
Yeah.
So it was only a year at WSIU.
Man, that's
The sad
wild.
part, what
It
we
feels
tried to,
it feels like so much more of my life.
it was the best. That's why.
Yes, you're right, because you were in it, Ed. But now the best years of my life are ahead of me, because here we are.
We tried to syndicate with NPR. And the problem we faced, and I'm not kidding, this is what we were told, we were not NPR enough.
I disagree.
We got excited. We got loud. We got crazy. And I think the final straw was, so you got to go way back.
Yeah.
This was during all of this. An NPR guy in San Francisco had made some just ridiculously outrageous comments about PC gaming and violence.
Okay.
Just obviously he knew nothing about the topic he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I actually said on the air, this guy said his name is an idiot.
And they didn't like that. They didn't like you.
I imagine NPR was a little upset with me for that.
You and it was Doug that was your co-host?
Yes, Doug Burner.
Doug what, sorry?
Burner.
Burner. Okay, cool. And just like that, you burned away. No, just silly. And so you guys were very car talk-esque.
Yes, I believe that's a good analogy. We were a little more crazy than Card Talk.
Yeah.
But not that much. I mean,
No.
And Card Talk had just closed. So we kind of thought we had a good shot there.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a legitimate thing, because you're in multiple categories that fit with the Car Talk crowd,
Yes.
right? You are technical observation, right, which is very much what Car Talk was. Yeah,
Yes.
It was a car show, but it was more about the technical observation, and the car happened to be the vehicle. Same deal on your end. It's the technical observation, but it happens to be computers. And then the other component.
It was a topic that was coming up that nobody was talking about. And this is one thing I've always wondered with JPF, why we didn't do this. We kept asking them to do this. Kim Commando is a mediocre show, in my opinion. She's a marketing show. Whoever gives her the most money is who she's going to talk about how great their equipment is. By the way, I'm not bashing her. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
It's what she does. We approached them and said, you know what? You got Sports Voice Saturday morning.
Yeah.
A great local show. Let us follow it with Computer Ed right after Sports Voice.
Yeah.
Get rid of Kim Commando. Let's do that advertising budget into the show.
Yeah.
Give us those 2 hours, and you've got an entire morning of local programming.
Yeah.
And they just weren't interested. I don't know.
This is the landscape that we are in now is the reckoning for failing to open the door for as many creative people that would have otherwise approached folks to create original programming.
Yes.
Well, imagine a broadcast landscape, right? A television, a radio, a newspaper, traditional media landscape that had let the individual creators, more of them in more ways, into the door 15 years earlier before they took it all to the internet.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying you would have captured everybody, right? Because the internet is just accessible. But if you were able to localize a broader array of programming with your top tier talent with more frequency and, even rotation, right? Because people can do fine on a bi-weekly show or, fit into their slot, right? Whatever people can do, you would have so much more relevancy of traditional broadcast media. It's still relevant.
This is something that I think has destroyed local television and radio stations. If you don't have good homegrown shows, why am I listening to you?
Yeah.
Because I can get the talk shows on the internet. I can get the music, usually with better variety, on the internet. And I can often get them for free without commercials.
Yeah.
Or very limited commercials.
Yep.
Okay? So you've got these options, and this killed those because they didn't go after the homegrown. They went after the syndicated approach because it was cheaper, it was easier.
Yeah. It was everybody gets your canned Ridge cranberry sauce. And
but television stations are looking at the same thing now. Most television stations, I remember when I was young, WSIU produced local television shows. They've pretty much stopped doing that. And none of the local stations do it beyond the news.
Yeah.
There's no local relevancy in programming
There is
anymore.
one piece of that content world that is still active in Southern Illinois, and that is Angie Wyatt with the spiel.
Okay. I haven't watched or listened or watched this. You got to get it to me.
I will. So Angie used to be the lead anchor on TV3.
Okay.
Right? Are you familiar with that timeline that she went? Okay, so she was that, and then it's probably been maybe 3 or 4 years that she's had the show, maybe longer. I don't know. She's done a handful of other projects related to it. So she essentially runs a half broadcast, half ad agency operation.
Okay.
It's pretty neat. I mean, it's forward thinking in the world of broadcast, right? And also in a competitive landscape where we're in a very split DMA. Right, so bear with me. I'm also checking my audio on the stream real quick to just make sure I sound good.
Got to make sure we sound pretty.
Yep.
Have we got any live viewers?
Oh yeah, we got like 2.
2. Awesome. Remember,
maybe they're both me because I have one here. Okay. And I have one here.
Oh, okay. But questions are welcome. So if you want to ask a question,
the replay value is there though. No, we're good. There's a third person, and.
You have no idea what you stepped into.
They're like, oh God, why am I here? So Angie's got that operation that covers multiple of those. She airs on Fox on weekend mornings, like Saturdays around 11 or noon. So in the right slot. She gets her own external sponsorships, and I think she purchases those time slots. So like she's acting as a person, controlling her verticals, and they make content. And she's found a way to both localize her content, interviewing local people, talking about local activity. It's very much like a fun, like touristy type of hour-long block. And then she also has a guy out in LA that she contracts with to do interviews for her, and they'll go to Nashville and pick up, some cool stuff going on. They're filming somewhere on a boat right now. I think it's spun off into another show. Man, I'm spitting now. I'm so excited, Ed.
It's spitting everything.
Lars Sorensen is now. He's got his own show on the PBS affiliate out of St. Louis. It's what she kicked off has broadened into so much other activity. It's cool to see. So
we've gone in a million directions different than where I thought we would go with this.
Good. That is a positive thing. I'm gonna reel it back in because I was way off board. So you're born and raised. So you said you're from what town? That's just a little
I grew up
here?
in a town called Oroville.
Okay.
Which is about 10 minutes outside of Murfreesboro, heading toward Ava.
Okay, great. And then do you still live there, or did you move to Carbondale?
No, I live in Carbondale right now.
When did you move from the small town to the big old city?
Well, I've lived in a few different towns in Southern Illinois over my life. I've lived in Royalton. I've lived in Cambria, Carterville, Herrin.
You want to rate them? No, I'm just kidding. Don't rate them.
No. I worked in El Dorado for a while.
Nice.
So I've lived around for a while, but in Carbondale itself, I guess 12 years now.
Uh-huh. Awesome.
So I married my current wife, and we own a home, and we're here. And you know what? That's weird to a lot of people. I've had offers over the years from a lot of big companies to move to Chicago, to move to St. Louis, Los Angeles, Austin. And I keep turning them down for 2 reasons. One, they're really not paying me enough to move to a city.
Oh, yeah.
But 2, this is home. Mm-hmm. My family's here. My friends are here. This is comfortable for me. There's almost no place I can't go that I haven't been 100 times.
Yeah.
And that's just cool for me. It's very relaxing to know where you live, and there's no rush here. Everything's not crazy like it is in the cities.
Mm-hmm.
There's no violence really here. I mean, there is, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't see violent protests in the streets. You just don't see the chaos that you see in the cities today.
And it's the lived in memory component is for me as somebody who's from here as well is so crucial. Like I live in a house that's like been a family house, right? Like bought it for my family when my grandpa died, like that type of stuff. And it's just nice to be able to like feel like you're, for me, I'm repairing old and crappy memories, but like for my kids, I'm hoping like to build that in and then hand the baton off, and now they can recreate and make more memories and just continue to build on that.
Yes.
And like it's just all in place, and they feel like, yes, I am staked in a physical place. They can go wherever they want to go. That's the world we live in. You can hop on a plane and be wherever within 12 hours globally.
Oh, when I look at how much I've traveled in my life, and I think back to when I was 14, 15 years old, a trip to Chicago when I was 14 or 15 years old to me was a major trip.
Yeah.
St. Louis was a big deal to me when I was that age. Now, gosh, I don't think there's a major city in the U.S. I haven't been to, quite a few in Canada. I've been to Australia. I've been to England. I've been to Tijuana. Don't want to discuss that. That's the end we'll say about that.
We're live, Ed. We're live.
But the point is, I've traveled so much, and now travel doesn't seem like, well, right now it does.
Yeah, right now.
But up until now, travel doesn't seem like that big a deal. It was nothing for me to get in the car and drive 12 hours to someplace I had to go. It was nothing for me to hop on a flight at Marion, get up to St. Louis, and spend the day bouncing flights to go to either coast.
Yeah. You can access the world in whatever way. Obviously there are the financial limitations that anybody could experience, right? But now we're at a point where even through a phone screen, in the poorest, most resource constrained places on Earth, you can find a screen.
Well, you can do that, and travel is actually a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife and I took a vacation. We went down to Biloxi. I've got a friend down there, and the trip cost us $60 a night for a hotel, which to me was amazing.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a pretty decent deal.
But the hotel was on a beach, so $120 for the hotel, 2 tanks of gas going down and coming back up. And then probably about another $150 for the food we ate down there, because we ate really well. But the point was, it was actually, in the grand scheme of a vacation, not that expensive.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive to travel and see places around you. And so now I get to segue into some PC gaming stuff.
Nice.
One of the things I tell people, especially PC gamers, we tend to get caught up behind our desks, and we talk to people through cameras and through microphones and headsets, and we've missed the real social interaction. One of the things I love to do with my job, and I haven't been able to this year, January was the last one I got to do, we do LAN parties. So LAN party is basically, imagine 300 to 500 PC gamers bringing their computers to a hotel or an auditorium, setting them all up together, linking them all up together, and then spending 3 to 4 days screaming at each other playing video games together. Not over the internet. I'm talking in the same
person.
room.
Yeah.
You're sharing a pitcher of beer, or you're sharing a pizza with these people. And that, to me, is one of the most amazing vacations I tell PC gamers they need to take.
Yeah.
You need to find a local LAN party, make the trip. Everybody's like, the hotel rooms and most of these LAN parties have places for you to sleep at the party.
Yeah. Just
they say,
hey,
bring an
here's
air
your comp place
mattress,
on the
throw
floor.
it down, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Travel has really changed from when I was a kid. It's easier. It's simpler. And hopefully it will be again.
I think post-pandemic, the interesting thing will be what our next steps in transportation development is. I'm one of those kids that 31 years old. I'm like, where's this high-speed rail that everybody keeps talking about? Right? Like, I look out, on the street down here and I go, man, what would that do for Carbondale if we had, if there was a high-speed rail from, Canada to, the coast of Louisiana or whatever, like, and just connected this in a main artery that ran east to west just as well. Like,
you know what? I think you'd be surprised how little of an impact it would actually have.
Okay.
I don't think that transportation is going to drastically change Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
What would really change Southern Illinois is a change in the way we look at ourselves.
Ooh.
We've so centered around agriculture and coal and there was for a while some decent manufacturing in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And we forgot that there's other amazing technologies. And again, I'm getting kind of back into my wheelhouse now with this.
Absolutely.
Software development companies do not need massive infrastructure.
Yeah.
They need good internet and good power, and you just ended the problem.
Yep.
And these companies, we could get them to move out of Silicon Valley. George is doing a great job with this, by the way.
Absolutely.
We could get them to move out of Silicon Valley if we gave them incentives to be here, if we gave them reasons to be here, if we tax incentives. Think about this. These companies have to pay their employees $120,000, $130,000 a year because that's the cost of living for low middle class because of the housing. $120,000 a year in Southern Illinois is wealthy.
Yeah.
Our standard of living, the cost of living is much lower. Not the standard, the cost. And these people could move into an area like this, reduce wages, but still make their people feel like they got a pay raise. They could reduce their infrastructure costs because they don't pay the ridiculous taxes and, well, maybe. But they don't pay the ridiculous power bills that they have to deal with. They don't have rolling blackouts they have to deal with. And then look around them. When their people are sick of dealing with their computers, we have got one of the most amazing natural habitat areas in the whole country that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Little Grand Canyon, you've got Garden of the Gods, you've got a hiking trail that crosses the entire area. You've got hunting, you've got fishing, lakes everywhere, ponds everywhere. This would be an amazing place to move software companies to because they just don't need a lot of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Why aren't we tackling that? Why aren't we attacking that? But this is what I mean. We got to change our attitude. If we want to really impact a change in this area, we got to change our attitude. We got to start looking outside the boxes that we're used to. We could well, seriously, from someone who works with software developers all the time, Southern Illinois is 100 times more attractive than Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, because here access is at its all-time high, right? We led into the jobs conversation by talking about travel. If physical access is an all-time high, why isn't physical separation and like placement outside of the what's the word I'm looking for here? The density, like the places with density, more commonplace. And I've got a very similar mindset about my world in media and wanting to find the inexpensive way to create what is essentially a miniature Hollywood, but like a modern version of Hollywood.
But you see, these things could be done if the mindset changed.
Yeah.
These things don't require the massive infrastructure. We don't need an airport that's capable of sending out 20 UPS super carriers a day. We don't need access to 1,000 semis a day. And speaking of that, even if we did, we have got this massive warehouse sitting out here on 13 that is nothing but an eyesore and a waste of money.
Yeah.
This thing could be used, turn it into an incubator, put solar panels up and down the roof of it. Oh, dear God, that thing has so much potential.
It's massive.
But nobody wants to think outside the box. We think in the infrastructure way, and there are so many ways with Hollywood, with music, with video games. Sorry, didn't mean to bump the mic. Somebody out there went,
you're fine. No.
We've got all these. I said I wasn't going to talk with my hands, and my hands are just going now.
That's why you're in frame, man.
We've got so many ways we can generate jobs. We can generate traffic. We've got SIU in our backyard and John A. Logan.
Yeah.
Are you telling me we can't put in good classes in gaming programming, in graphic design, in music design? We can't put good classes in those things and give these kind of businesses instant access to high quality people to do the work.
Yep.
We've got everything we need to do this. But again, there's a mindset. There's something there that just, I don't know why, it just stops these ideas before they can take off. Well, we don't even have a politician down here that pushes these ideas.
Yeah. Well, part of this conversation is...
God, I'm getting into politics.
Yeah, well, reel you back in. We said don't do politics this show. We won't do politics
I thought we
this
was going to talk computers and gaming. We're every place else.
Yeah, this is what I do to people, man. So the crap. Now I just lost where the hell I was at.
Well, his train has left the station.
The idea that, okay, so we're talking about jobs, we're talking about bringing it all together, blah blah blah. So the school, right, and the access to talent, and essentially having a factory for people where we produce the qualified individuals and provide them accessible proximity to the career path that they want to follow down. That's in it, and it's in so many ways, right? Again, well, and what do you do? What you're doing is you're creating a closed loop economy where, yes, you're exporting stuff like technology and media and, whatever, micro manufactured goods and blah, 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 blah. And you're sending that out. But what you're doing is bringing everything in and closer to you, creating a more resource dense environment where now taxes don't have to be as high because activity is actually occurring in this area. And the transactions that receive the taxes are more frequent because there are more people and more care and concern to connect one another together. And what leads it, the chicken or the egg? The reality is we've got both. We've got the infrastructure. We've got the internet.
For this,
right?
Yes, we've got what we need.
We've got the professional infrastructure on one side. We also have the people on the other side that are qualified to join the industry. If people moved here, if let's say a company that was tracked to growth from 100 to 1,000 employees over the course of the next 3 to 5 years, they could locate here and they could achieve that goal.
Yes. And I think part of the problem is I think many of the politicians are short-sighted. Mm-hmm.
So you go talk about that politics again.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to be running for office. Computer Ed for president.
That's it. Very good.
So anyway, I've won the election already. You just don't know it.
You just don't know it.
Anyway, I couldn't resist.
That's because you're elite hacksaw, Computer Ed.
So
you control the systems.
I think a lot of them look at a project like this and they say, all right, what are the benefits? How many jobs are they going to bring into the area? And a lot of what we're talking about isn't going to bring a ton of jobs at first into the area. What it is going to bring is a ton of money into the area. Remember that even if you move a software company in here, and let's say a small software company, I'm thinking like HBS, which is about 25 to 30 people. Okay, you move 25 to 30 people in here, and people be like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. That's 25 to 30 people that have well-paying jobs that are spending their money here. Mm-hmm. They're going to be more grocery store workers, more department store workers, more gas stations, more car dealers. Mm-hmm. They're going to grow everything else. And in a couple of years, they're going to need more help. And the first place they're going to look is the local sources to see what they can do. It's not a short-term fix for our area. It's a long-term fix.
But there is literally no short-term fix. If anybody thinks there's a short-term fix, they're shitting themselves. Like
there's no such thing as a short-term fix. Short-term fixes are stopgapped at best.
Yeah.
And they have no staying power. They're not designed to last years down the road. They're designed to cover up a problem. We don't want to cover a problem. We want to solve a problem.
But we spend too much time approaching things going, I want my fix now.
Well, that's the society the internet created. You know, it's funny. I literally go back, by the way, to the beginning of the internet. Okay?
Like I was there at its birth in the cradle of the first
I
modem.
really was. To give you a little background, this is why Carbondale holds a place near and dear in my heart. I was going to school in Elkville. I'm a Falcon. Yes, I am. Thank you. And I'm proud of the fact I'm a Falcon.
Sorry.
And there was a program at SIU called Upward Bound, which was designed for low-income families to send their kids to summer school at SIU. And this wasn't a remedial thing. We were actually taking advanced high school and early college entry classes. And it was my summer of my freshman year, and I went to Upward Bound. And they took me down. I've told the story many times, so I tell it well. They took us down in the basement of Morris Library. And there were these little cubicles in the Learning Center. And in these cubicles were these little orange plasma screens. And it was a computer system called Plato, which was actually out of the University of Illinois. This is 1977. That's when I first touched a computer. And I haven't stopped since. My mother hated Carbondale because, okay, so Saturday mornings my mom would be off work. She would get us kids up early in the morning. We would drive to the laundromat in Murfreesboro for her to do the laundry. Then we'd pick up the groceries and then we'd go home. Well, when I got old enough, that wasn't good enough. She had to first drive me to Morris Library and drop me off and then pick me up at the end of the day. I spent the day in front of these screens. This was cool stuff back then. There was nobody to teach us. We had to learn.
Yeah.
And so there's always that. That's why it was so funny to me that the last season of Computer Ed was at SIU, because that's where Computer Ed technically started.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was going with the story.
You were just going with the story.
It was just, but I've been doing this a long time. Now I remembered. I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this since the internet started. There was no internet. And you got to go back to those days when the internet first started. And we had this vision of what it could be. And it was a utopia. It was a place where we would share ideas. We would disagree and have intellectual and meaningful debate. We would expand our understanding of other cultures. Data would be freely available to us. Material would be freely available to us. And we would grow culturally, was what our thoughts were when the internet first started. Little did we know that pornography and cat memes would be what the internet become. And it did. It became pornography and cat memes. Well, when social media began, again, it was a noble vision. The idea behind social media was to interconnect us, to allow us to be a part of each other's lives, even if we couldn't be. And to grow and share and become. And now we're down to what, 125 characters is supposed to express realistic thought? Okay, the internet has just become garbage to what it should have been. And it's sad because, like I said, I was there at the start. We were amazed. We were fascinated. And I look at the internet today and I'm like, oh, dear God, what did we do? We created this mess. Oh, my God, what did we do?
It is, I would describe it as interaction set up for exploitation. And
yeah, maybe.
I mean, the question is, when do you break from that and find another mindset? Is there a point in the evolution of the tool that the internet is that it gets beyond its an exploitative stage and gets into the back to the mindset behind its.
You know what? I'm gonna change something I said.
Yeah.
We didn't break the internet. The internet is fine.
Yeah.
It's humanity that's the problem.
Yeah.
The internet has for so long given people anonymity. They could say things they would never say to your face. And they would hide from it. Flaming became a contest.
Yeah.
And they took pride in how abusive they could be to other people. This is a flaw within us that we have to recognize. It's not that the tool needs to evolve, it's that we need to evolve. To use your analogy, a hammer is a great tool. And you give it to a child, it's a destructive tool. It does nothing useful. Mm-hmm. But you give it to someone who has grown around the hammer, matured around the hammer, and understands its potential and its uses, a master carpenter. And that hammer becomes an amazing tool in his hands. It's the same thing with the internet today. We as a society, I feel like we have to evolve and understand that we've got this amazing tool, but we're a bunch of toddlers running around with it. And we've got to grow up society-wise. We have to grow up and accept that and move on and go to something greater. There you go. Now you got me just philosophical even.
You are on a different plane of existence right now.
I feel sorry for everybody watching the show. Because
don't worry,
it's
there's
like,
only one of them.
Which way did they go?
Well, no, we're later. Up to 3 right now. We're up to 3.
I'm talking later when they come back and watch the YouTube video. What the crap is that?
Talking about. No, man, and this is what's cool to me in this conversation right now is to feel not alone in our immediate place, right? There are unlikely a large sum of people who philosophically think around the way that the tool of the internet works.
Yes.
In a, sparsely populated rural area like Southern Illinois. SIU or no SIU, doesn't matter. A university can only attract so many people.
Right.
There are only so many people that are as smart as you and me, Ed. No,
well, but you see, that's the funny thing. I go to these events and people have assumed, everybody that's met me has assumed that I grew up in a city.
Uh-huh.
Okay? I went to a little school that had a graduating class of 30 people.
Uh-huh.
Okay, our advanced math class was instead of 2 + 2, it was 2 × 2. All right, we didn't have an advanced education, so we had no form of computer education. It didn't exist back then. We didn't have an advanced education. I grew up baling hay to make money to buy a little dirt bike to ride around.
Uh-huh.
I grew up in a poor family that I up until I was in my late 20s, with the exception of the time I was in the Navy, I think one form or another of public aid in our lives at all times. I grew up in a poor family. I didn't grow up with a big education. I eventually got an associate's degree in literature, of all things, which is totally meaningless in the computer world. It's totally meaningless anywhere. Let's just be real, okay? It's not a super useful degree. I don't have this higher education to fall back on. People think you need that for technology. I'm the equivalent of a shade tree mechanic.
Yeah.
And shade tree mechanics, some of the best mechanics I've ever met were shade tree mechanics.
Yeah.
I knew this guy, was my stepdad. We didn't get along real well, but he's a good guy to my mom, and that's all that really matters to me. And he was literally a shade tree mechanic, never had held down an actual job. He just done work for people on their cars from time to time. You could drive a car up to him and just let it run. He would stand out there for a second and he would tell you what was wrong with it before you told him what it was doing. And he was right 99% of the time. You don't need a higher education often. I think this is something we get into with college way too often. There are so many jobs, it's not about going to college, it's about doing. It's about getting your hands on just doing the job, learning the job.
Yep.
So I saw did you get a donation?
No. That is.
I can't see the screen.
No,
clearly.
sorry.
I'm blind.
That was another guest who was telling me that he was told that he needed to be on the podcast.
There you go. Come on now. We'll have
reeled
you
in
right
another
now.
one.
We'll
no,
put you...
it's funny. No, I was talking to I guess I could just say this now because John's going to be on the podcast and he sent me the message. Gary, city manager, sent me an email being like, "Hey, I think our Carmelita, who runs the warming center, would be a great guest. And I had actually just asked her last night, like, hey, would you be on the podcast? And I was like, well, who else do you think you would like to see on the show, Gary? I'm open to suggestions and whatnot. And one of the people he threw out was John Lanzini, and John's like,
there are some really amazing people that's in Carbondale. I remember at the nursing home that used to be out there by the fields.
Helia.
When it was my mother was there for a while, but this was years ago. It was like I was like 17 or something, and going in there and doing stuff for school. I actually met a man, and we sat down and talked for days. It seemed like that was a sparring partner of George Foreman. And I got to hear all these incredible stories of George Foreman. We have these resources down here. There was a guy, I don't know if he's still alive or not. There's a guy down here that worked on the Apollo program. And I've had opportunities with him to sit and talk. There's a gentleman down here. I want to say he was a teacher. I'm not sure. He played against Wilt Chamberlain in the very first college game Chamberlain ever played. That's just amazing to me that we've got these kind of stories and these kind of people in Southern Illinois, and we don't ever talk about them.
A story that I brought up on the podcast a couple times, Tom Grant has told me this story a time or two, where it's like some guys, like the original like militarized Predator drone type drones, like the prototypes for that stuff was like taped together in some apartment building somewhere in Carbondale. I don't know how true that story is or is not, right? Like, but I know I can envision it. I know I can imagine that some people that were, a mix of engineering and our flight school were connected somehow, and these guys came up with this idea, and it was probably early, world of the internet, and they were just understanding how, radio waves and bandwidth work, and they were like, I think we can make something that flies on a remote control, but really is way more wild than that, and poof, they made the first military drone. I don't know if that's what happened, but I know I can envision that happening in Carbondale.
Well, we've got all these stories down here. We've got all these, like I said, everybody thinks I grew up in a city. I love to tell a story about my mother. I came back from the Navy, and I lived with my mother for probably about a year and a half. And I was really struggling with what I was going to do next, because I was a navigator in the Navy. You know how useless ocean navigation on a submarine is in Southern Illinois? So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, but I spent a lot of time in computer games. And computer games for me were the gateway to the rest of it. I've been a programmer. I still do a lot of hardware work. I've done all aspects of computers. And it was the gateway. And my mother sat down with me one day and said, you know, I'm trying to do her voice. I don't do it very well. And she just passed. I've got to be a little respectful.
Just respectful enough.
She said, you're never going to amount to anything if you keep playing those computer games. Well, about 8 years ago was when I got the job with Sapphire. Now, Sapphire, for those of you that don't know, is one of the premier high-end video card makers. We make video cards for PC gamers.
Yep.
And we are really one of the top 3 video card manufacturers for PC gamers.
I run, even though Ed said you don't really need it for that. The computer that I run all of this off of was originally built for virtual reality, and now it runs videos and stuff when I need it to. But you keep talking, and as you talk, I'm going to interject.
You're going to show all that Sapphire swag I brought.
Yeah,
I brought him gifts. Merry Christmas. See, I can be Santa.
The Santa Claus you were never allowed to be.
Anyway. So I am now handling PR in North America, and that's Canada and the United States, for a company that hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And PR is mine. It rests on my shoulders. I'm the gaming evangelist for the company worldwide. And so I sat down with my mother, I guess is about 7 years ago, because about a year after I started working for Sapphire. And I said, do you remember this conversation we had? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, I want you to think about this for a minute. PC gaming led me to a successful radio show career. It led me to run a successful business of my own here in Southern Illinois. And it has led me to international recognition and working PR for one of the top-rated companies in the industry. Okay? and I said, did I amount to anything? It was a running joke for her. She started laughing. So, yeah, you're just playing with all the swag now.
I'm thrilled. I am.
Well, like I said, normally I do LAN parties all over the country during the year.
Yeah.
We did one event this year in Louisville, Kentucky, by the way, which if you're ever looking for a LAN party, that's a great point. Aren't those cool?
He brought me a. I'm gonna have to switch over to the other camera.
Yeah, it's Sapphire branded.
It's a Sapphire branded UV box. I've been looking at these online for like a year
there
now.
You go. That box actually has a cool additional feature. It's got an aroma section in it.
I hate smells, so I will never turn that on.
My wife puts essential oils in hers. Those are actually really cool little boxes.
Oh, yeah, this is nice.
This is something I worked on with Sapphire, and I was lucky with the fact that they understood the reasoning. Most companies, when they do swag for events like LAN parties and trade shows, they tend to do simple things like stickers. And I've talked our company into, that's the little card that Sapphire put it to say thank you.
Unboxing. This is my first ever professional unboxing. And anyway, this is why I don't make unboxing videos. I make podcasts about cool local people.
One of the things that I was really able to work with and we did, it's not just me, but I helped a little, was we make sure we don't put junky swag together. We don't give away as much as many other companies.
And that's okay. The stuff that you give away better be good, damn it.
That's right. I want stuff that people are going to use for a year or two after we give it to them, not just look at it and go, hey, that's really cool, and throw it in the trash can.
And their investment with you, right, like a quality investment in a good consumer will yield a type of brand loyalty that will stretch the course of somebody's career.
Well,
somebody's a 3D graphic designer, and they're attached to you. Somebody is a VR specialist, they're attached to you. Somebody's just a straight gamer, they're attached to you. All these... Sorry.
My focus on VR, or not on VR, but on PR is if we give the gamer something of value to them, we will build the brand no matter what.
It's a scarf.
Yeah.
It's a scarf.
Those are actually from last year. I've got 2 left.
I had no idea. I'm not a scarf guy. That's okay. I'm a scarf guy now. I'm not a good scarf guy. I'm not your ideal scarf guy, but you know what? I'm a scarf guy nevertheless.
A couple of years ago, we did the wool beanies.
Cashmere. I thought that was a place, not a fabric.
We did wool beanies, and we did wool scarves. They weren't as nice looking as those, but they were really nice scarves. And I actually in trade shows would go in and talk about it. That Sapphire video cards, because heat's the enemy of all hardware in computers. Sapphire video cards run so cool that I had to get hoodies and scarves for our customers that have frostbite.
That's the freaking PR guy. That's it. Color me freaking impressed. And what did you just like work on people's computers for 20 years or something?
Yes.
Was that your okay.
I had a business. It was called Computer Eds. We did in-home service for home users and small businesses. The commercials we ran on WJPF were, I crawl under your desk so you don't bump your head. So you wouldn't have to bring me your computer. I'd come and get it or work on it in home. And I did that for almost 20 years and made a good living at it. We were doing all right. The Sapphire job was just too good to pass up. I mean, I'm getting paid to travel the country, talk about PC gaming and play PC games and test them and test hardware and help in hardware design. And how do you pass that up?
You get sidetracked. I'm sorry, man. I just had like a work tweet come through, and then I looked and I got sidetracked. And shame on me.
My pocket.
Boo on that. Say what you just said again, Ed. This is embarrassing. This is so live.
I was saying I ran a local computer business, and we did in-home repairs. We were niche that way. We did the work in-home.
And it's, I mean, some of that's got to be the way that it is now. Like, okay, cool. Like, you want somebody to come in and like put your whole network together. Now you want somebody to come in and like be the maestro of your stuff.
Well, what I'd have is people get a virus, or their computer would suddenly start acting weird or not work the way they'd want. And they'd pick up the phone and I'd say, okay, I'll be out this day. And I'd come out and help them solve the problem. And they didn't have to pick up the computer. One of the complaints in the computer industry, and I think rightfully so today still, is if you want your computer repaired, you got to pick it up, you got to take it to a store. Now you're going to drop it off at the store, and you don't know how long it's going to be there. It may be there a few hours, it may be there a few days, maybe there a week. Then they're going to tell you it's fixed, here's how much it costs. They're going to hand you the computer. Now you have to go home and hook it back up, and it won't work. That scenario plays out way more often than people think. That's because there's something in the environment, something at the house that's causing the issue. Either the way you're hooking it up, maybe it's a power. I've had power fluctuations. I've had magnetic fields in homes cause computers to have issues. You can't find that when you take a computer into a shop. You just can't do it. It doesn't work. You want them in your home to sit down with you and figure out what's going on with your computer.
You found magnetic fields before.
I actually had a client that it's long and it's complicated. And there's a lot of physics material in it. But let's just say they had a magnetic field that was being generated around their trailer that they lived in. It was weak, but it was causing them headaches, was giving them problems with television and radio reception. They had no clue what was going on. And we discovered it and stopped it because their computer worked fine at the shop, would die at their house.
Yeah.
But we didn't find that out until we went out to the house. Yeah, I've got tons of stories if you want to get into stuff about computer repair and weird things we found.
No, because we'll get to the gross out factor, and I can't handle the gross out.
No,
factor.
I actually haven't had too many gross outs. Like I said, I've got so many stories with this industry because this is what I've done.
Yeah.
For 30 years professionally, and over 40 years just as a hobbyist and a gamer. That's one of the things I love about my job. I'm not just dealing with a community like too many PR reps. They deal with the community. Now, they know their product.
Yeah.
They don't really know their community. They're not one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them. I'm the guy that's yelling and screaming with the others.
So here's something that's really cool about the cannabis industry right now. And
PC gaming to pot.
Hey man, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all just recreation at the end of the day, except for those that are medicine, and medicine's an important component of this. And I just shot myself my own media marketing PR guy foot. But the so in cannabis, it is very much a community oriented thing, like from a media perspective. Like, so there are plenty of consumers that don't participate in the showcasing of cannabis, but like for a good, probably I'd say 15 to 25% of the people out there, and that has zero factual evidence to back up those numbers. I'm just guessing and throwing some silly numbers out there. There are people that are just committed to, this is my thing. I consume media around cannabis that I consume myself. And in this space, everybody is an influencer to their own audience, right? And they want to be what they see others being. It's very much like a positive feedback loop of, person see, person do. And I get to come in here as somebody who's been, participating in social digital spaces since I was like 13, 14 years old, right? In terms of social media interactions, like what we now see as social media, that's a pretty long time, right? At a pretty formative age to have picked up on things like that. And so I see these folks and I understand what stages of growing a following they're going through, of what, interaction within a community they're experiencing for the first time or on repeat. And it's that ability to like actually empathize with, I am the person that you are, makes me capable to do what I do. And you do the same thing.
I try. Fun pot story for you then. I'll give you a fun pot story.
There you go.
By the way, I've smoked pot once. I've only smoked pot once in my life. It was for a girl. Isn't everything for a
Right.
girl? I actually smoked the entire joint, looked at him and said, I just don't get what this is about. And I've never smoked pot since. It didn't do anything. But I was out in Las Vegas at CES. And I was meeting with a company. This is back when I was doing the radio show, and Doug was with me when this happened. And we walked in, and we're talking to this one factory rep. And he's like, hey, guys, look, it's time to end the day. Let's unwind. He said, we've got booze here. We've got food we can have delivered. We can just sit up here. You guys can sit up with us. Awesome. I mean, this is great. I got no problem with that. And he comes out with a suitcase. I'm not kidding you, a suitcase. He opens the suitcase and he said, do you guys do pot?
You want to smoke this suitcase?
No. And he said, we got to try it. He opens up the suitcase and he's got like 30 different containers of pot that are each a different, I don't know what the term
Strain.
is.
The phrase would be strain.
Strain.
Yep.
And this guy was like a pot connoisseur.
Uh-huh.
He was like Gordon Ramsay of pot.
Yeah.
And he's talking about, well, this one will do this and this will do that. And we're sitting here going, what? And we're sitting there. They had steak dinners delivered. It was a really nice evening. We actually did have a really nice evening. But I watched him go through about half that pot just sitting there. It was an interesting experience. I didn't realize at the time, because I guess I was naive, that there were that many strains of pot.
Oh my god! And now there's an entire industry of it, right? It
Yes.
used to be like, okay, here are the names that you know because these are the people that can produce on scale, and they would name them, and here it is, and whatever. And now there are people that their work is to seek out strains and understand the science behind the growth, and like it's essentially just it's breeding is what it is.
Yes.
It's breeding plants.
Well, it's like roses or tulips or just any other plant.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's wild. The more that I've learned about it in a short month and a half, I've never been a science behind cannabis type of guy. It was never like the technical aspect of it was never something I was like, oh yeah, like just smoke it and be cool, man. And so
I try to keep them from hearing the cough.
no, you're good. You're good.
It's just a dry throat, guys. I'm not
Everything's
contagious,
cool.
I
Everything's
swear.
cool. Even if we are, we're still that good 30 feet apart from one
30
another.
feet
It's
apart.
nice. It'll so there are folks now who like their whole thing is like they are people that have amassed libraries of these different strains, and like people they just have hundreds or thousands of types of seeds that are just like I don't know what's a good analogy to something that contains all of the information in the world, right? It is
The internet.
Do what?
Wikipedia.
There you go. It's the people that are like literally the Wikipedia of cannabis strains. Like that's
Now
their
remember,
thing.
folks, you're supposed to be talking about computers and technology. Somewhere along the line, we both lost control, and this has gone insane.
So here's where I'll wrap it together for you, because I
Okay.
just made these posts for work earlier today. A buddy of mine, Kyle, who was episode number 7 of this show, has started and is an executive for a company called EcoBuds. They essentially do biosecurity, stopping like mold and pests and other stuff like that from affecting plants. That's their job. He has a relationship now with Boston Dynamics. We have Spot in the building monitoring the air for biosecurity threats.
Right.
Like that's technology on a different level. We have robots participating in the growth of cannabis, and that's happening just up the street here in Carbondale.
Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, that's somebody working to bring you tax dollars back. Thank you
Well,
very
that's
much.
true. That's true.
Oh, it's
You said we got
crazy.
people watching live. Are they not going to talk and ask questions?
No, yeah, I've not had any questions thus far.
Well, shame on you people.
There's only one person, and it might just be us that we're talking to
Well, a live
because I've got my
audience,
one screen up.
One person is enough.
I'll ask myself the question right
Okay.
now.
There.
No, I'm sorry. We will do something that is like a computer ed. Like we'll do a Sapphire Ed Live and ask the expert type of thing.
If we do it live, we need to promote it like a week in advance. And
No, we can. So we can set something like that up, and I would love to. I think it would be great. If we could set something like that up, the lights that are all behind you and all the staging equipment behind you, we can turn to that nice sapphire blue. We can do all the things that we need to do to make you look like super legit in this space. And I think, I would really enjoy
legit.
that.
Oh my God.
Do what?
I'm not super legit. Oh my God.
Oh, you are super legit. I'm sorry, I didn't mean, but like to make you.
I know what you meant, to make it look more professional.
Dang it, Ed. Now I'm all bashful. I don't even think that I talked about like how geeked out I was about this. I don't remember if that was part of the podcast or not.
Well, yeah, that was kind of nice to hear because I don't hear too many people talk about computer ed anymore.
Right.
And that's okay. It was a time and it was a lot of fun and it was an amazing experience. But I look back at it now and I was a moron.
Yeah.
Well, I never commercialized it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I did 16, 18 years of a radio show for the pure passion of computers.
Yeah.
And I never pushed hard to try to make money at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have.
Yeah.
Because I think I could have made money at it. You live and learn. This is a hobby that to me is more than a hobby. It's a lifestyle. It's a life choice. I don't watch a lot of TV. When I need entertainment, I play video games. Or I play board games. I play a lot of board games, or I read a book. That's my entertainment, not television, not movies. I do watch them, just not every night. It's not the same thing. Gaming gets a bad rap. People hear the term gaming. Man, when I was working on home computers, I'd go in and they'd want to get a new system. So I'd always ask them, I'd always start with, what do you want to do with the system?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's going to define what the best components are, the best value is for the consumer. And the response I would get was always the same about, I want to do spreadsheets, or I want to browse the internet, or I want to watch YouTube, but I'm not a gamer. That was always said, I'm not a gamer.
What?
That is a philosophy. Well, people associate gaming with children.
Huh.
Okay, so let me give you a few statistics most people don't know. Mm-hmm. The average computer gamer is 34 to 35 years of age.
Okay.
Most of them, about 60% are male. The other 40% are female. That statistic surprises everyone. Mm-hmm. Female are fast growing in the computer gaming world. Mm-hmm. Most computer gamers have a child and is married. Mm-hmm. Most computer gamers have at least an associate's degree. And probably about 75% of computer gamers hold a full-time job with an average income of around $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Okay, that doesn't sound like children in basements looking at Sarah Michelle Gellar's pictures. Okay, it doesn't sound like people in mama's house, and that's the impression though we've been given by PC gamers. Mm-hmm. You go and look at these people that do cosplay. Okay, I know you know what cosplay is.
Oh, yeah.
For everybody here that doesn't know what cosplay is, there's a character in a video game or a movie you think is awesome, and you dress up to look like them, and you go to an event like that. They look at the few really weird people that don't want to do it at the event. They want to do it their entire life. Okay, and look, I've had a Star Trek uniform, but I never wore it on a date, all right? So... But they look at that small group of people. Cosplayers are some of the most amazing artists you've ever met. These people are taking styrofoam and paper mache and paint and little pieces of wood, and they are turning them into these intricate Hollywood I'm sorry, whoever heard that, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Hollywood level special effect outfits. These people are incredible at what they do. But again, we've associated them with a specific group. And we've created this illusion that everybody that does this stuff must be like that. PC gaming, I'll bet you didn't know this. Do you know PC gaming is actually from a health perspective, good for seniors?
No.
So what goes on with this is there was a study done about 15, 20 years ago in New York. Now, the study was centered around Central Park and all the chess tables that were in Central Park. And they started watching the old men and the old women that were playing chess there every day. At the end of the study, and it took about 10 years for them to do the study, and they had something like 30,000 people that participated. Mm-hmm. They found that the people that played chess daily had something like a 60% reduction in the occurrence of Alzheimer's and dementia. And if they did get Alzheimer's and dementia, it never progressed as far as the people that didn't do it. It was always just barely getting started. It never went any further. That's an amazing statistical change. Just an amazing statistical change. PC gaming works because it works on the same principle. It makes the mind stay interactive. PC gaming is not like TV where you sit down, you watch a story, and the term is veg out. Mm-hmm. You can't in a PC game. You got to pay attention. The mind stays active. It doesn't require a great deal of physical prowess. There are many PC games that are not reflex-based that lets them work even as they get older. So you've got this amazing system that allows a senior citizen to stay mentally engaged, interactively engaged, and think of all those shut-ins that don't have people they can talk to. There are massive communities on the internet around these games. And seniors are welcomed in these communities. I've played in a lot of communities with, in fact, I just did a MechWarrior Online community that I was a part of, that one of the guys in the community was almost 80 years old. They're accepted. They've got a family they create. I've known seniors that have adopted the young children, or not the young children, okay, 20-year-olds. Yeah. They've adopted the younger people as grandchildren, and they're giving them advice, and they've even bought them Christmas presents. Yeah. And I've known communities that when the senior member disappeared for a few days, there were people that drove 6 hours to his house to make sure he was okay, because he was part of their community. This level of interaction that we can give to seniors, think of all these seniors we got stuck in nursing homes that don't get to see their own families.
Yeah.
This gives them interaction, keeps their mind engaged. It helps them physically have a more fulfilling life in their senior years. Nobody wants to talk about that when it comes to PC gaming. I've tried to get that discussion on local news stations, television, and radio. No. I've tried to get that discussion. Nobody wants to have that discussion. I think that's an amazing discussion. Look at what's happening with COVID. Do you know PC gaming right now is bigger in income than television, movies, or music?
In terms of folks who...
In terms of cash revenue generated.
Yeah, for an end user,
yes.
Say somebody is streaming their gameplay and they're making, a comparable $35,000.
Well, no, I'm not talking how much they're making. I'm talking how much they're spending.
Oh, wow, okay.
People are spending more on a computer game system than they are on many other forms of entertainment. They're spending more for the computer games than many other forms of entertainment. Now, I've heard this argument, but gaming's a waste of time. Every hobby is a waste of time, okay? If you want to whittle little figures out of sticks, it's a waste of time. That's the nature of a hobby, is to blow off the time, to get away from the real world and have your moment away and just say, screw y'all, I'm going to relax. That's the purpose of wasting time. Everybody needs to do it. PC gaming isn't for kids. Well, it is, but it's for adults too. And it's an amazing hobby. Somebody asked me, I was doing the specials with Pat Benton. I hadn't actually got the show yet. Mm-hmm. And Pat asked me during one of those morning meetings where he was milking his chickens. I don't know where he came up with that phrase, by the way. That's how old I am, folks. I remember that.
Pat Benton milking chickens.
Yep. Pat asked me, he said, what is it about computers that gets you so excited, so enthused? And I said, think about this from a hobbyist point of view. I can take this device and I can write a book. I can store recipes. I can balance my checkbook. I can talk to somebody in Italy and get a real Italian spaghetti sauce recipe. I can talk to somebody in China and learn how to use chopsticks. I can watch a movie, I can listen to music, or I can become Captain Picard and be on the Enterprise. The only limit to computing as a hobby, imagination.
And I hope that this has spurred your imagination this evening. The transition out. This for me. It's like meeting a media hero type, and that person.
Well,
just
I hope
happens to be in
not.
your own
I hope I
backyard.
haven't disappointed, but no, I'm just Ed.
And that's it. He's just Ed. Episode 31 of the WTF Carbondale podcast. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.